So now what? Okay. So before I do that, let me answer any questions that you've got about the previous section. Just see. Okay. I understand that management is heavily influencing the culture of any organization. As an agenda shift partner, I believe in the power of good conversations between all parties involved in the organization. How successful are grassroots culture initiatives from your experience? They go against management idea, command and control mainly, but with support of customers. So there's always a debate about culture. Okay, so a lot of people believe that you are not able to change culture at all. Okay, so you don't change culture, you replace culture. So basically what you do is you get rid of managers and you replace them with people that are different. So in my own experience, the most effective way to deal, especially in amber organizations where, if I think about banks tend to have a large center of gravity in amber because of legislation and et cetera, okay? So the most effective ways I've seen of changing culture in banks have been to create a completely different business unit or a completely different part of the organization that start up with a more, I want to say, more modern culture, or a more agile friendly culture. But in general, in these large monolithic companies, it's possible when you get new leadership in smaller companies still, or or somebody really evolves in their own leadership in small companies to change culture. But in the large monolithic companies, the only way that I've seen that they start paying attention to it is A, if they lose business, or B, if they cannot attract talent. That's the only way when they start looking, and even then it's quite hard. Okay. Right. Let me see what else. Okay, Shashi. How to coach if the agile mindset is not present. Any experience dealing with leaders who won't? So we'll go into that in a moment. That's not my now what. And then from TPS, my observation in industry in general is that the process improvement is still sought after far more than agility. Efficiency yields short-term profits. Do you ever see the mindset changing? So yes, but not fast. In my own experience, what I've noticed is that they are as more and more, bigger and bigger part of the organization becomes people who think differently and who require a different culture. There's very often pressure on the older, older. There's a specific word we have in my language, call it, but on the older people in the organization to start thinking differently. In a lot of cases, they can't. The higher up you are in the organization, the more difficult it is for you to change the way that you've been thinking about forever. So I often lament, where's the good leadership? What I do think is I've been an agilist for over 20 years, and I'm not the only one. There's a whole generation of us that can actually step in and lead and become leaders ourselves. So there certainly is a tendency for wise people who are keen on still developing themselves to embrace some of the things that we bring in agile. There are not a lot of leaders like that, and now you know why. Now that you've seen the stats, you know why. I mean, leadership development is personal development, and personal development is hard. Okay, so there needs to be a real compelling reason for people to actually examine themselves and live kind of an examined life. So okay, so there's a quick question from Fred. Is there a test we could perform to gauge where each member of our team sits on the previous scales? Yes. So there's the assessment to do action logics, the same as the assessment. Those are leadership assessments. So so you certainly can you can have your team tested. Okay, you can have your leadership tested as well.